He saved the Apache chief's son. The next day, 20 brides arrived at his door. Choose one. Jacob was a young man who lived near the edges of the desert in a small frontier town. He was not rich or famous, but everyone in the town knew him for his courage and honesty. He had spent most of his life exploring the lands beyond the town, trapping animals, hunting, and helping neighbors when danger came. Jacob loved the wide open spaces, the quiet mornings, and the smell of fresh air in the mountains. But more than anything, he believed in doing what was right, even if it was dangerous or difficult. One late afternoon, Jacob was walking along a narrow path through the canyon. The sun was low in the sky, turning the rocks a soft orange. He had been tracking a group of deer for a few hours and was tired, but he enjoyed the peaceful sound of the wind moving through the canyon. Suddenly, a sharp cry echoed through the canyon walls. Jacob froze. It was the kind of cry that made his heart jump, a call for help. Without thinking, Jacob ran toward the sound. The path grew steeper and the rocks more jagged. He could see a small figure below, near a rocky ledge that looked dangerous. As he got closer, he realized it was a boy, no older than 12, struggling to hold onto the edge of the cliff. One wrong step could send him tumbling down hundreds of feet. The boy's face was pale with fear, and he screamed for help, his small hands gripping the rocks tightly. Jacob's heart pounded. He knew that rushing could make things worse, but he also knew he could not leave the boy there. He carefully moved closer, choosing each step with care so the rocks did not crumble beneath him. "Hold on," Jacob called out. "I'm coming, don't let go." The boy looked up and saw Jacob. His eyes were wide with hope and fear at the same time. "Please," he shouted. "I can't hold on much longer." Jacob reached out a hand. The boy stretched his arms, but the wind made it difficult. Jacob thought quickly. He grabbed a strong branch from a small tree growing nearby and lowered it to the boy. "Grab this. Grab it tight," he shouted. The boy reached for the branch, but his hands shook. Jacob could feel the rocks slipping beneath his own feet. He leaned over as far as he could, holding onto the branch and shouting encouragement. "You can do it. I won't let you fall." Finally, with a last strong effort, the boy caught the branch. Jacob pulled him slowly toward the edge, his muscles straining. Every second felt like a minute. The boy's feet finally touched solid ground, and Jacob let out a long breath he didn't realize he was holding. "You're safe now," Jacob said, helping the boy stand. The boy looked up at him, eyes filled with gratitude and fear that had not completely gone. Thank you so much," the boy said, his voice shaking. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't come." Jacob smiled, brushing the dust off his clothes. "You were brave too," he said. "You held on, that's what matters." As they made their way down the canyon path together, the boy began to speak more. "My name is Tayanita," he said softly. I am the son of Chief Akla. You saved me. My father will want to meet you." Jacob felt a little nervous. He had heard stories of the Apache tribe. They were proud people, and he had always respected them from afar. Meeting a chief was not something he expected, but he also knew that he had done the right thing. When they reached the village, Jacob was surprised by the warmth of the welcome. The villagers came out of their homes, curious about the man who had risked his life for their young chief's son. Tayanita ran ahead to his father and told him what had happened. The chief, a tall man with strong features and wise eyes, looked at Jacob with a mixture of surprise and gratitude. "You saved my son," Chief Akla said. His voice was deep but kind. "Many would have turned away, but not you. You have a brave heart." Jacob bowed slightly. "I did what anyone should do," he said simply. "No one should be left in danger alone." The chief nodded. "Your words are humble, but your actions speak louder than words. You have my gratitude, Jacob, truly." The villagers gathered around, and children whispered excitedly among themselves. Jacob noticed that they looked at him with respect, and even some of the elders nodded in approval. He realized that saving Tayanita was not just about one boy's life. It had brought him into a community where honor and courage mattered deeply. Over the next few hours, Jacob learned more about Anita and his family. The boy told stories of the village, of the games he played, and the lessons his father taught him. Jacob listened carefully, asking questions and laughing at the boy's excitement. He felt a connection not only to Anita, but to the whole village. As evening approached, Chief Akla invited Jacob to share a meal with the family. They sat around a fire and the chief offered bread, roasted meat, and sweet fruits. Jacob was touched by their generosity. Even though he had never known this tribe personally, he felt welcomed as if he had been part of their lives for years. During the meal, the chief spoke about bravery and responsibility. "Jacob, what you did today is remembered not only by me and my son but by all our people," he said. "Bravery is not measured by the battles you fight, but by the risks you take to help others. You have shown great courage, and that is a gift we will not forget." Jacob listened quietly. He was not used to such praise. He had always acted on instinct, never thinking about recognition. But hearing the chief's words made him feel a deep sense of satisfaction. He realized that courage, when guided by care and respect, could touch lives far beyond his own. The night fell and Jacob prepared to leave. He promised Chief Akla that he would return, and the chief nodded, smiling. "Come when you can. Our doors will always be open to you, Jacob. You are now a friend of our people." As Jacob walked back toward his cabin under the starry sky, he felt a mixture of exhaustion and fulfillment. The wind whispered through the canyon, carrying the sounds of the village settling in for the night. He knew that he had done something meaningful, something that would be remembered not just for what it was, but for the intention behind it. That night Jacob lay on his bedroll outside, staring at the stars. He thought about Anita, Chief Akla, and the village. He thought about the risk he had taken and the boy he had saved. And he thought about the idea that a single act of courage could create a chain of kindness and respect that might last for a lifetime. As he drifted to sleep, Jacob felt ready for whatever challenges might come next. He did not know that this was only the beginning of a story that would change his life in ways he could never have imagined. But he slept peacefully, knowing that he had done the right thing and that courage and kindness would always guide him. The next morning, Jacob woke to the sound of birds singing in the canyon. The sun had just begun to rise, painting the rocks in soft shades of pink and gold. His body ached a little from the climb the day before, but his mind was full of thoughts about Anita and the Apache village. He remembered the fear in the boy's eyes, the way he had held on so tightly to the rocks, and the relief that had washed over him when Jacob finally pulled him to safety. As he ate a simple breakfast of bread and dried meat, he thought about returning to the village to see how Anita was doing. He wondered what the chief might think of him now. Would they see him as just a stranger who helped a child, or would they treat him as a friend? Jacob had spent much of his life alone, moving from one part of the land to another. He had helped people when he could, but he had never been recognized for it. Today, things felt different. He made his way down the dusty trail toward the village, taking care not to rush and disturb the calm of the morning. The sun was warmer now, and the desert smelled of dry earth and blooming wildflowers. As he approached, he could see smoke rising gently from the small homes and children playing near the edges of the village. The sight made him smile. The village felt alive, full of energy, and at the same time peaceful. When he reached the center of the village, Anita ran toward him, laughing. "Jacob, Jacob," he shouted, his voice filled with joy. "I am so glad you came. Father wants to see you again." Jacob smiled and crouched to greet him. "I am glad to see you safe, Anita." "Did you sleep well?" The boy nodded. "Yes, but I kept thinking about yesterday. Everyone in the village has been talking about what you did. They say you are very brave." Jacob shook his head modestly. "I just did what anyone would do. I only helped because it was the right thing to do." Tayanita grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the chief's home. "Come quickly, father is waiting." As they entered the chief's home, Jacob noticed the decorations and arrangements that reflected the culture and traditions of the Apache people. The chief sat on a woven mat, his posture proud and calm, his eyes bright with curiosity. When he saw Jacob, he stood and gestured for him to sit. "You have returned," Chief Akla said, his voice steady and commanding. "It is good to see you again, Jacob. You saved my son's life, and for that I will always be grateful." Jacob bowed slightly. "I only did what seemed right, Chief Akla. I do not seek rewards or thanks." The chief's eyes softened. Sometimes the greatest actions are those done without thought of reward, but the gratitude of others is also important. It honors your courage and reminds our people of what is right. Come, share the meal with us. Jacob followed the chief to the low table, where food was arranged in neat portions. There were roasted meats, fresh bread, fruits, and a sweet corn porridge. The aroma was inviting, and Jacob felt his stomach rumble. He had been traveling and hunting for hours, and the meal was a welcome sight. As they ate, the chief spoke about the importance of courage and community. "Bravery is not only in battle," he said. "It is in the choice to help others even when there is risk. You showed such bravery yesterday. You acted without hesitation, and that is a gift to our people." Jacob listened carefully. "Thank you, Chief Akla. Your words mean a lot to me, but I only acted out of concern for Tayanita. I would have done the same for any child." The chief nodded. "That is true courage. You do not act for recognition, yet recognition comes because of the goodness of your heart." During the meal, the villagers came to greet Jacob. Each person offered a nod, a smile, or a few words of thanks. Children brought small gifts, painted stones, or woven bracelets as tokens of gratitude. Jacob accepted each gift with humility, understanding the meaning behind them. This village had welcomed him not as a stranger, but as someone who had proven himself through his actions. After the meal, Chief Akla led Jacob to a quiet place outside the village. The sun was higher now, casting long shadows across the sand. "Jacob," the chief said, "I want you to know that what you have done is remembered. There is a saying in our tribe, a brave heart saves more than one life. You have saved Tayanita, and in doing so, you have shown the strength of your heart." Jacob felt a warmth in his chest. He had never thought of himself as particularly brave. To him, he had only done what was necessary. But hearing the chief's words made him understand that courage could inspire others. It could bring communities together and create trust between people who had never met before. Just then, Tayanita ran up with a group of children. "Father, look," he exclaimed. "Jacob is my hero. He climbed the rocks and saved me. Everyone is talking about him." The chief smiled and patted Tayanita's shoulder. "Yes, you are fortunate to have such a friend. Remember this, my son, bravery and gratitude go hand in hand. You must honor those who help you and act with courage yourself when the time comes." Jacob spent the rest of the morning walking around the village, meeting people, and listening to their stories. He learned about their daily lives, how they farmed, hunted, and taught their children. He realized that the village was not just a place, but a community where each person contributed in some way. Their respect for each other, their traditions, and their values left a deep impression on him. By noon, the villagers began preparing a small celebration to honor Jacob. They gathered around a fire, sang songs, and shared stories of courage. Jacob felt a mix of humility and pride. He had never imagined that helping one boy could lead to such recognition, but he knew it was not about him. It was about the act itself and the lives it touched. During the celebration, Chief Akla approached Jacob again. "We will always remember what you have done," he said, "but there is more. There is a custom in our tribe to honor those who show exceptional bravery. It is a sign of respect and gratitude." Jacob was curious. "What kind of custom?" he asked. The chief smiled. In our way, we celebrate bravery by offering friendship, guidance, and sometimes even family connections. You have proven yourself a man of honor. We wish for you to become part of our community if you are willing." Jacob's eyes widened. He had never expected such an offer. I am honored, Chief Akla, but I am not sure I understand fully." "You will understand in time," the chief said gently. "For now, know that you are always welcome in our village. Your courage has created a bond between us that will last a lifetime." As the afternoon wore on, Jacob helped the villagers with small tasks, carrying water, arranging firewood, and assisting the children in their games. He laughed and shared stories of his life outside the village, and the people listened with interest. By the time the sun began to set, Jacob felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. The evening ended with the chief inviting Jacob to stay for the night. "Rest, Jacob. You have earned it," he said. "Tomorrow we will continue to celebrate your bravery in our own way. But tonight, know that you have made a difference, and that is something no one can take away." Jacob nodded, feeling grateful and humbled. He lay down under the open sky, looking at the stars as they began to appear. The air was cool and calm, and he felt a deep connection to the people around him. He realized that saving Tay and Anita had not only changed the boy's life, but had also changed his own. He had found friendship, respect, and a sense of purpose that went beyond himself. As he drifted to sleep, he thought about the days ahead. He did not know what surprises the village had in store, but he felt ready to face them. One thing was certain. His act of courage had opened doors he never imagined, and it was only the beginning of a story that would change his life forever. The morning sun was bright and warm when Jacob woke in his cabin. He stretched and looked out over the small clearing near his home. The night before had been quiet, filled with dreams of the village and Tay and Anita. He had not expected anything unusual to happen today. After all, he was just a simple man living on the edge of the desert, and his life was usually quiet and predictable. But today was far from predictable. As Jacob stepped outside, he heard voices calling his name. At first, he thought it was Tay and Anita or perhaps some neighbors from town. He walked toward the sound, expecting to see a few people coming to greet him. But when he reached the edge of his cabin, he stopped in shock. There were 20 women standing near the gate, each dressed in colorful traditional clothes, their faces calm but expectant. Behind them were family members, standing with quiet dignity. Jacob's heart raced. He had never seen so many people come to his home at once. One of the women stepped forward and spoke in a clear, polite voice. "Jacob," she said, "we have come from the village to honor you. Our chief has sent us. He says you are a man of courage and heart. We are here to offer ourselves to you so that you may choose one to share your life with." Jacob could hardly believe what he was hearing. He blinked and took a step back. "Choose one? But why? I did what any person would do. I didn't ask for this." The woman smiled gently. "It is not just about what you did, Jacob. It is about the respect you earned. In our tribe, bravery and kindness are honored. This is our way of showing that honor. You are welcome to speak with each of us, and when you feel ready, you may choose." Jacob felt overwhelmed. 20 women, all waiting for him to make a choice. It seemed impossible. He had spent his life alone, hunting, trapping, and living simply. He had never imagined such an honor or such responsibility, but he also knew he could not ignore it. To refuse without consideration would be disrespectful to the chief and the women. He took a deep breath. "Very well," he said slowly. "I will speak with each of you, but I must be honest. This is not easy for me. I will not make a choice quickly." The women nodded, understanding the weight of his words. They waited patiently, giving him space to think and observe. Jacob began speaking to the women one by one. Some were shy, speaking softly about their lives, their families, and their hopes for the future. Others were more confident, sharing their dreams and ambitions openly. As he listened, Jacob began to notice the strength and kindness in each woman. Each had a story, a personality, and a spirit that shone brightly. He walked slowly from one woman to another, asking gentle questions and listening carefully. He learned that one loved to paint and weave, creating beautiful designs from simple materials. Another had a deep knowledge of the land and could identify every plant and animal. Another was quiet but brave, able to care for others and handle difficult tasks with patience. Jacob realized that this choice was not about appearances or wealth. It was about character, values, and the connection he could build with someone who would share life's joys and challenges. He felt a growing sense of respect for the women, and he wanted to honor that by making a thoughtful choice. Hours passed as he spoke with each woman. The sun moved across the sky, and the shadows grew longer. Jacob felt both exhausted and inspired. He had never spent so much time thinking about someone else's life, about who they were and what they believed. Each conversation left him more aware of the responsibility he held. Finally, as the afternoon light softened, Jacob sat on a large rock and looked at all 20 women together. He realized that choosing just one would not be easy. He thought about fairness, about respect, and about what kind of life he could build with someone. It was not a decision he could make lightly. He called the women closer. "I want to say something," he began. "I am deeply honored by your presence here. I see your courage, your kindness, and your strength. Choosing one of you is not simple because each of you is remarkable in her own way. I promise to be fair, to listen, and to make a choice with honesty and care." The women nodded, their expressions calm and understanding. They did not rush him or complain. They seemed to understand that true respect required patience. Jacob spent the next few hours walking with the women around his cabin, observing how they worked together. Some helped with small chores, while others told stories or shared songs from their village. He saw how they treated each other with respect, how they cared for one another, and how their spirits shone in simple acts of kindness. As the sun began to set, Jacob knew it was time to make his decision. He walked slowly to the center of the clearing where the women stood in a loose circle. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. "I have thought carefully," he said. "I have listened to your stories, watched how you treat each other, and learned about your lives. You are all remarkable and I respect each of you deeply, but I must choose one. I choose Naeli." There was a moment of silence. Jacob looked at Naeli. She was calm, with gentle eyes and a kind smile. She had spoken openly about her hopes and dreams, but also about her desire to help others and build strong connections. Jacob felt that she shared his values, his sense of responsibility, and his love for honesty and fairness. Naeli stepped forward. "I am honored, Jacob," she said softly. "I will share my life with you, and together we will honor our families and our communities." The other women, though disappointed, nodded respectfully. They had seen Jacob's honesty and care, and they understood that his choice was not made lightly. They stepped back, offering their support and blessings. Jacob felt a sense of relief and gratitude. The decision had been difficult, but he knew it was the right one. He also felt a growing connection with Naeli, a sense of partnership and trust that would guide them both in the days to come. The two of them walked together as the sky turned shades of orange and purple. The air was cool and calm, and the desert landscape glowed in the soft light of sunset. Jacob felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that his life was about to change in meaningful ways. As they returned to his cabin, Jacob thought about the journey that had brought him here. Saving Tay and Anita had started it all, but it was the courage, honesty, and respect he had shown that led to this new chapter in his life. He realized that life was full of surprises, and that sometimes bravery and kindness could open doors he had never imagined. That night, as he and Naeli sat by the fire, Jacob felt grateful for the lessons he had learned. He knew that life with Naeli would not always be easy, but he was ready to face challenges with courage and respect. He had chosen a partner, a friend, and a guide for the future, and he knew that together they could create a life full of trust, love, and shared values. Jacob looked at Nayeli and smiled. "I am glad we met," he said. "I know our journey is just beginning, but I feel we will face it well together." Nayeli smiled back, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "Yes, Jacob. Together, we will honor our lives, our families, and the lessons that brought us here. Courage and kindness will guide us as they have guided you to this moment." The night grew quiet, filled with the soft sounds of the desert. Jacob felt a sense of calm and hope, knowing that he had acted with honesty, respect, and care. The future was unknown, but he had found a path forward, guided by the choices he had made and the people he had chosen to walk with. The morning after Jacob chose Nayeli, the air was fresh and cool. Sunlight poured over the desert, painting the rocky hills in shades of gold. Jacob woke early, feeling both nervous and excited. He had made a big decision the day before, one that would change his life forever. He looked at Nayeli sleeping peacefully beside him and felt a sense of calm. This was not just about choosing a partner, it was about building a life with someone he respected and admired. Nayeli stirred and opened her eyes, smiling at Jacob. "Good morning," she said softly. "I feel ready for whatever comes today. Are you?" Jacob nodded. "Yes, I think so. It feels right to be with you. I just hope I can honor the trust and respect you have shown me." The two of them prepared a simple breakfast together. They worked side by side, cooking over the fire, cutting fruits, and sharing bread. Even in this small, everyday act, Jacob noticed how thoughtful and careful Nayeli was. She moved with quiet confidence, paying attention to every detail, and she spoke kindly, making sure he felt included. After breakfast, they stepped outside to the warm morning air. Jacob knew that life with Nayeli would require learning and patience. She came from a different culture, with traditions and customs that were new to him. He wanted to understand and respect them, while also sharing his own experiences and knowledge. Nayeli looked at the landscape and said, "Jacob, I think it would be good for us to visit the village together. The people there welcomed you with respect. Now, as part of this bond, I would like to show you more about our lives, our work, and our traditions." Jacob agreed. He felt a mixture of curiosity and excitement. He had seen the village briefly before, but now he would experience it as someone more deeply connected to the community. Together, they set off toward the village, walking along the dusty paths surrounded by rocks and wildflowers. As they approached, the villagers greeted them warmly. Children ran to meet them, and elders smiled with approval. Jacob felt a deep sense of belonging he had never felt before. He realized that his relationship with Nayeli was not only personal, it also connected him to a larger community, one that valued courage, kindness, and respect. The chief, Akla, welcomed them with a calm but proud expression. "Jacob, Nayeli," he said, "I am pleased to see you together. Your choice shows thoughtfulness and care. You have honored our customs and you have acted with integrity." Jacob bowed slightly. "Thank you, Chief Akla. I am learning that respect and understanding are as important as courage." "Nayeli has shown me much already." Nayeli smiled and added, "Jacob is willing to learn, and that is why he is a good partner. Together, we hope to grow stronger both for ourselves and for the community." The chief nodded. "Good. Let us begin your journey together by sharing what is important in our lives. Today, you will see our work, our customs, and the responsibilities that come with being part of this community." Jacob and Nayeli spent the day walking through the village. They visited the gardens where families grew corn, beans, and squash. Jacob learned how the villagers rotated crops and used every part of the plants wisely. Nayeli explained the meanings behind their practices and the traditions passed down through generations. Jacob listened carefully, impressed by the knowledge and care that shaped every action. Next, they visited the craft area, where women wove baskets and made clothes. Naeli showed Jacob how to weave simple patterns and explain the significance of each design. "Every pattern tells a story," she said. "It speaks of our ancestors, our struggles, and our hopes for the future." Jacob tried his hand at weaving, his fingers awkward at first. Naeli guided him patiently, correcting his movements and praising his efforts. He laughed when the basket looked uneven, but Naeli smiled. "Even mistakes can have meaning," she said. "What matters is effort and care." As the afternoon sun warmed the village, Jacob and Naeli joined the children in games and exercises. Jacob taught them simple tricks he had learned during his travels, and the children laughed and copied his movements. Naeli watched, smiling proudly. Jacob realized that teaching, listening, and sharing stories could bring people together just as much as brave acts in dangerous situations. Later, they visited the elders, who shared stories of past leaders and heroes. Jacob listened to tales of courage, sacrifice, and wisdom. The elders spoke of the importance of patience, understanding, and thoughtful decisions. Jacob realized that bravery was only one part of life. To truly be a respected member of the community, one needed honesty, integrity, and empathy. By evening, Jacob felt tired but fulfilled. He and Naeli returned to his cabin, walking side by side in comfortable silence. The sky was painted in deep oranges and purples, and the desert air was cool and soothing. Jacob felt a sense of peace he had not known before. As they reached the cabin, Naeli looked at Jacob. "I think we have learned a lot today," she said. "Not just about the village, but about each other. We are starting a life together, and we must continue to grow, to learn, and to respect one another." Jacob nodded. "Yes, I am grateful for your guidance and patience. I know that this journey will not always be easy, but I am ready to face it with honesty and care." That night, they sat by the fire outside, watching the stars appear one by one. The desert was quiet, except for the soft sound of the wind through the rocks. Jacob thought about the events that had brought him here, rescuing Tayanita, meeting the chief, speaking with the 20 women, and choosing Naeli. Each step had been unexpected, challenging, and meaningful. He realized that life often brought surprises. Some were difficult, some were joyful, but the choices made in those moments defined the path ahead. Jacob had acted with courage, honesty, and respect, and those qualities had led him to Naeli and a new life filled with connection and purpose. Naeli spoke softly, breaking the silence. "Jacob, I know that we will face challenges as all people do, but I believe that together we can overcome them. Courage brought you here, and understanding will guide us forward." Jacob smiled and took her hand. "Yes, Naeli. Courage, honesty, and care. Those are the things that matter most. With them, we can face whatever comes." As the night grew darker, they shared stories of their childhoods, their dreams, and the lessons they had learned. Jacob felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had found a partner who shared his values, a community that respected him, and a purpose beyond his own life. The desert night was calm, and Jacob felt a quiet strength within him. He knew that the journey ahead would not always be easy, but he was ready. Together with Naeli, he would honor the lessons of courage, respect, and kindness. Together, they would face challenges, celebrate joys, and build a life guided by honesty and care. Before falling asleep, Jacob thought about the village, the chief, and Tayanita. He realized that one act of courage had created a chain of events that would change many lives, including his own. It reminded him that every choice mattered, and that integrity and empathy could lead to unexpected and wonderful outcomes. He fell asleep under the stars, feeling ready for the days ahead, knowing that he was not alone. Naeli was by his side, and together they would meet life with courage, patience, and love. The journey was just beginning, and Jacob felt a sense of hope and determination he had never known before. The morning sun rose slowly over the desert, casting a soft golden glow on Jacob's cabin. Birds sang from the rocky cliffs, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of wildflowers and fresh earth. Jacob woke feeling a mixture of excitement and calm. Today was the day he and Nayeli would officially begin their life together, not just as partners, but as a symbol of friendship and connection between two worlds. He stretched and looked at Nayeli, who was already awake, sitting quietly outside. She smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, Jacob," she said. "It feels like today will be a special day." Jacob nodded. "Yes, it does. I am ready. I hope to honor our families and the community in the right way." They spent the morning preparing for the day. Jacob cleaned the cabin and arranged the outdoor area, while Nayeli prepared simple gifts and decorations that reflected her culture. They worked together in quiet harmony, speaking softly and laughing occasionally when a small mistake was made. Jacob noticed how naturally their teamwork worked, and he felt a deep sense of contentment. As the sun climbed higher, they began their walk to the village. The villagers had gathered in the open area near the center, welcoming them with warm smiles and respectful gestures. Children ran ahead to greet them, and the elders stood with calm approval. The sense of community was strong, and Jacob felt proud to be a part of it. Chief Akla stepped forward to meet them. "Jacob, Nayeli," he said, his deep voice calm and steady, "today marks an important moment. Your choice to join together shows respect, courage, and understanding. It is a lesson for all of us that true bravery and wisdom are found in acts of kindness and honesty." Jacob bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Chief Akla. I am honored to be part of this community, and I promise to honor the trust and respect shown to me." The ceremony began simply but meaningfully. Jacob and Nayeli stood side by side, surrounded by friends, family, and villagers. The chief spoke about the values that guided their community: courage, respect, honesty, and care for others. He reminded everyone that life was a series of choices, and the choices they made reflected their character. Jacob listened closely, feeling the weight of his actions and decisions. Saving Tayanita, choosing Nayeli, and embracing the traditions of the village had all brought him to this moment. He understood that life was not just about survival or adventure. It was about connection, responsibility, and the bonds created through care and respect. After the chief spoke, the villagers shared small gifts and tokens of respect with Jacob and Nayeli. Baskets of fruits, handmade crafts, and woven cloths were offered with humility and pride. Jacob accepted each gift with gratitude, understanding the meaning behind the gesture. Nayeli did the same, her gentle smile reflecting the appreciation she felt for her community and for Jacob. Children approached them, curious and excited, offering small songs and dances. Jacob laughed, joining in as best he could, and Nayeli clapped her hands, guiding the children with encouragement. The mood was joyful, full of life and celebration, yet also filled with meaning. Every action, every gesture carried respect and gratitude. As the sun reached its highest point, Jacob and Nayeli walked together to the garden where families had worked for generations. The chief handed them a small plant, explaining that it represented growth, patience, and care. "Just as this plant will grow with attention, so will your life together," he said. "Nurture it and it will flourish." Jacob took the plant gently, looking at Nayeli. "We will care for it together," he said, "and we will care for each other and our community as it deserves." The rest of the afternoon was filled with lessons, stories, and shared tasks. Jacob learned more about the ways the villagers lived in harmony with the land, and Nayeli guided him with patience and understanding. Together they repaired small fences, tended the garden, and helped with daily chores. Jacob realized that building a life was not just about grand gestures but about small, thoughtful actions every day. Later, the chief invited Jacob to speak. Jacob stepped forward, feeling the eyes of the community upon him. He spoke with honesty and humility. "I never imagined that saving one boy would bring me here, to this village, and to Nayeli. I have learned that courage is more than bravery in dangerous moments. It is patience, care, honesty, and respect. Naeli has taught me these lessons every day, and together we will continue to honor them." The villagers listened silently, then responded with applause and smiles. Jacob felt warmth spread through him. He realized that his life had changed not just because of a single courageous act, but because of the choices he had made, the care he had shown, and the respect he had earned. As evening approached, the village gathered around the central fire. Families shared food, songs, and stories. Jacob and Naeli joined the celebration, laughing, dancing, and listening to the elders' tales. The warmth of the fire reflected the warmth in their hearts. The bonds between them, their families, and the village felt strong and unbreakable. Jacob noticed Tayanita running around with other children, his laughter ringing clearly in the air. Jacob felt proud and grateful. Saving Tayanita had been the first step in a journey that brought him love, community, and a deeper understanding of life. The boy had not only survived but thrived, surrounded by care and respect, and Jacob was part of that story. As night fell, Jacob and Naeli walked to a quiet hill overlooking the village. The stars were bright, scattered across the sky like tiny lanterns. The desert was calm, the wind gentle, and the moment serene. Jacob felt a deep sense of peace. He took Naeli's hand in his, feeling her warmth and strength. "Jacob," Naeli said softly, "we have learned so much. We have chosen each other, but we have also learned about courage, respect, and love. This is only the beginning of our journey." Jacob nodded. "Yes, Naeli. I know life will have challenges, but I feel ready. With you by my side, we can face anything. We have courage, honesty, and care to guide us." They sat quietly, watching the stars, reflecting on the path that led them here. Jacob thought about the day he had saved Tayanita, the trust of Chief Akla, the presence of 20 women, and the choice he had made with his heart. Each step had been part of a larger story, one of bravery, respect, and love. The desert night grew calm and quiet. Jacob felt that life, though unpredictable, was full of opportunity for goodness and connection. He realized that true courage was not just in facing danger but in living honorably, making wise choices, and nurturing relationships with care. As the wind whispered through the rocks and the stars shone above, Jacob knew that he and Naeli would face the future together. They would support each other, learn from each other, and continue to honor the values that had brought them together. Life was a journey, and this moment marked a beginning full of promise, hope, and shared purpose. Jacob finally closed his eyes, feeling grateful for every choice, every act of courage, and every lesson learned. Naeli rested her head on his shoulder, and together they watched the stars until sleep came, knowing that the life they were building would be filled with respect, kindness, and love. Tomorrow, they would continue learning, growing, and celebrating the bonds that connected them to each other, their families, and the community that had embraced them. But tonight, they rested, filled with peace, joy, and the quiet strength that comes from living honorably and loving wisely.